Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iPhones have had great displays for many, many years, and they're often rated as some of the best displays. But more and more people are messaging me saying that with the latest phones, such as the iPhone 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max, that they're concerned about green tint, maybe a yellowing display, as well as burn-in as well. And so I wanted to address this in a video. I did talk about green tint a little bit more, but I want to address this along with maybe future updates that will fix it. And so first, let's talk about the green tint issue. Now, I've covered this at length before, but the green tint issue is basically specific to the iPhone 12 series phones. So the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 mini, iPhone 12 Pro, and iPhone 12 Pro Max. And what I mean by green tint is sometimes when you turn the display off, if you're in a dark room, you turn it on, you'll have a green tint to it. I can show you this. One of my friends, Jury, sent this in on Twitter, so let me show you what this looks like. So I'm on the video he sent in, and there is a green tint, but it's hard to see. So let me turn off my lights, and then we'll turn the display brightness all the way up, and you can see there's a green tint when the display turns on. So he turns the display off and back on. You'll see there's a green hue or tint there, and this is a problem for a lot of people. Now, my phones particularly have not experienced this. I could not reproduce this on my iPhone 12 Pro Max or iPhone 12 Pro. I thought I saw it once on an iPhone 12, but I wasn't able to reproduce it consistently. And so because of that, I've not actually had this issue, but a lot of people are saying this issue cannot be fixed with a software update. This is a problem. Well, according to what happened last year with iPhone 11 series phones, so iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max, they had similar issues with their OLED displays, and Apple fixed it with an update. Now, many people were saying Apple fixed it by now, and they actually fixed it with iOS 13.6.1. Currently, we're on iOS 14.4, which is currently released to the public. Now, we may have 14.4.1 soon or 14.5, but we have not had an update that fixes that issue specifically. It took a while for Apple to fix it for everyone later on last year. And so they actually said it was reportedly due to thermal management issues. And so they're supposedly going to fix this in future updates. They're aware of it. And so if you're experiencing that problem, still hang on. I think Apple's working on it. So I do think they can fix it via software. Some people say they can't, but we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, last year they did it with 13.6.1. Now, the next thing is the yellow display. This is specific to the iPhone 12 series again, where they tend to have a little bit more warm hue as compared to, say, the older iPhones. But these phones rate as some of the best or most accurate displays ever put on a phone. And so if we go to, let's go here, turn off dark mode, and you'll see that there's a difference from phone to phone, and some of that can be caused by True Tone. So we'll turn True Tone off on the 12 Pro, and you'll see that it sort of clears that issue up. Now, if we compare that to an iPhone 7 with an LCD display, you're going to get a different hue of white, and that's just the difference between displays overall. Technically, the iPhone 12 is more color accurate, where the iPhone 7 tends to be a little bit more blue, which may be more pleasing, but is not technically color accurate. So Apple tends to go on the side of color accuracy, and while you can make some adjustments to this under accessibility and your display, generally you don't want to do that too much. So, for example, if we scroll down here, we can go to color filters and change some of these a little bit, where we can change some of the overall colors based on what we want. So if we want to have different tints to our display, we can do that. However, Apple does a pretty good job in general making sure the color is accurate. So I wouldn't worry too much about the yellowing display. Some people have said that it's been fixed with more recent updates. I actually never had an issue with it that I thought it was too yellow as long as I turned True Tone off. Generally, I don't use True Tone just because I don't like the way it makes the whites look, especially when I'm editing a photo. I want it to look like it should look on any display that's color calibrated. So just keep in mind that I don't think that's really an issue, the yellow tint issue, but one issue that can be an issue over time is burn-in. And that's one of the reasons I have the iPhone 7 here, because the iPhone 7 is an LCD display, which generally do not suffer from burn-in. And so what I mean by that is where you'll have an image that's persistent on the display, even if you're not on the same screen. And so, for example, an easy way to see this is if we go to Photos, here's a wallpaper that's all gray that you can test to see if you have any persistent images stuck on the display. So a lot of the time, if you have a display iPhone that's sitting maybe in a store, on max brightness or at a high brightness all the time, you'll have maybe the battery indicators or maybe your Wi-Fi signal indicator burned into the display. You can see this on a gray background or a white background. So I'll link these in the description below, but I did a video about display burn-in a year or so ago, and I don't think it's too much of an issue for the majority of people unless they're on the same display all the time at a high brightness. Apple and other manufacturers do a pretty good job of moving pixels around where it doesn't seem to be too much of an issue most of the time, and these issues can sort of be seen more in retail units that are sitting on a shelf with a persistent image all the time. Maybe in Apple stores, for example, when we can go back to Apple stores, you may see some with display burn-ins, but for the most part, you won't see it. And on older LCDs, you won't see it. So sometimes you can, but it's much more rare on an LCD than an OLED. And so it's not usually something you want to worry about unless you're leaving your phone down on your display with the brightness turned all the way up all day long. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Apple seems to handle it much better than some other manufacturers do as well, so they tend to last a little bit longer. And so I just wanted to address the display concerns because a lot of people have been asking about them. Are maybe they making worse displays or something along those lines? And I would say when you're manufacturing anything at the scale Apple is, you're bound to have some issues that get past quality control. But in general, to manufacture on the scale that Apple is, where they're making tens of millions of iPhones every year, if not more than that, it's pretty impressive that they can have fairly calibrated displays at all with any sort of consistency. So even on this display, if you put whites side by side, they won't necessarily look the same. So if I send this over to this phone via AirDrop, you'll see here that the whites can look slightly different. Now, you can't really tell on camera, but there is a slight difference between the two. It's ever so slight, and it will make a difference to some people, especially, and this is sending a song to my AirPod or my HomePod rather for some reason, but it will make a difference to some people. But in general, their displays are great, and I think Apple will fix that green tint issue in the future here with an update, hopefully fairly soon. And of course, when there's updates, be sure to check back because I cover all of those if you're not familiar with that. So let me know if you've had any of these display issues, especially burn-in. I haven't had that on any of my iPhones going all the way back to iPhone 10. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below if you've had that issue, if you've had a phone replaced because of it. I haven't had any other issues with dead pixels either, thankfully, but if you do, Apple generally will help you out with that also. But let me know your experience in the comments below. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.